The morning is still dark, the fog has not yet disappeared from the surface of the ground. Dew hangs lazily on the tips of the leaves, and my steps begin to tread slowly, entering the newly planted rice fields. The rice is still tiny, light green, pale, standing fragile like children who have just learned to stand. This land has not been touched by the hands of farmers for long. The soil is still soft, slippery. My feet sink a little every time I step, but I keep walking, slowly, following furrow after furrow, with a sharp gaze looking for snails. They are cunning, slippery, silent, but deadly for such small rice. They know how to hide, behind the clumps, in the mud, under the fallen leaves. But I am more patient, more silent than them. This hand dives into the mud, not knowing what it touches. Sometimes soil, sometimes roots, sometimes something moving, cold, slime. I know it's him. 1, 2, 3. More and more. The bucket begins to clink softly every time a snail is thrown into it. A strangely soothing sound, like a sign that I am not alone in the middle of this silent rice field. The wind suddenly blew harder. The sky was already bright because the sun was starting to steal from behind the fog. I stopped for a moment, looking ahead, along the rows of small rice fields that were shaking gently in the wind. They didn't know what awaited them yet. They didn't know how harsh the world they would face would be. But they stood, even though they were small, even though they were fragile. I continued walking, and those snails, one by one, I would herd them out of this field. Not for the rice, not for anyone, but for the day that wasn't over yet, for the morning that hadn't subsided, for the silence that still lingered among the mud and roots. I hadn't even entered the rice field yet. I was already greeted by them. Not one or two, but many. The snails, clumped together in a puddle on the edge of the rice field. As if they knew I was coming. As if they were gathering, discussing in slimy silence, about how they would devour the tiny rice that had just grown. I squatted down. I touched one, slippery, warm from the morning light that was still friendly to my body. Then another one, and another, and another. My hands didn't have time to dry. Mud stuck between my fingers. The fishy smell began to be familiar in my nose. But my eyes remained wild, exploring every puddle, because behind the calm water, there is always a mouth waiting for the rice to be careless. I haven't entered the rice field yet, but it feels like it has begun. This hunt, a small battle that never really ends. Every planting season, they come. Every morning sun wriggles from the east, they come out of hiding. And I always come back, never really can stay still. Because the sound of young rice that can't talk yet, for some reason, keeps calling silently, and the ducks at home are waiting for their favorite delicious meal. I lift the bucket. It's not that heavy yet. This is just the edge. The rice field in front is still waiting. And I'm not done yet. Not yet. I took all the snails that I could see. No matter how small or big. The ones hiding behind the grass, the ones half buried in the mud, the ones swimming lazily on the surface, all went into the bucket. Not being selective, because I know, for duck feed, they still like all sizes. The small ones I crush quickly. The big ones I know how to make sure they can still enjoy them. They know how to enjoy them. I continued along the edge of the rice field. My steps blended with the soft soil. My hands were black with mud, sticky with slime, but I kept on digging, sweeping my gaze from end to end. Sometimes the snails seemed to test me, hiding behind small rocks, or as still as the ground itself. But I know which is the ground, which is the creature. The bucket is getting fuller. The sound changes. Each time the snail is thrown, it no longer makes a loud sound, but a dull sound. A sign that there are already many. A sign that today is not in vain. I haven't entered the middle of the rice field plot, but it feels like the snails have already given up on the edge. Or maybe, they can never run away. I pause for a moment, looking towards the vast plot. Tiny rice paddies stand like children hoping for protection. And in the mud, other snails must still be hiding, waiting for dusk, waiting for carelessness. But I'm already here, with the bucket, with time, with simple determination. Those slippery ones must not win first. Now I continue my steps, entering the rice field, where the young rice stands in neat rows. Still fragile, still flexible, but full of hope. The mud is deeper here, warm, soft, welcoming my feet as if wanting to hold me for a long time. My eyes sweep the surface of the water again. The snails are still here, but too small, so tiny that sometimes I think they are just leaf fragments. I try to take one, let go, try again, slippery, not like the one on the edge earlier, the big one, the arrogant one. The one I caught easily. This one is small, or maybe it's not their time to be hunted yet. But my ducks don't know about time. No matter how small the snail is, as long as it can be swallowed, they will be happy. And I keep trying, one by one, with patience slowly eroded by mud and time. I looked at my bucket. There was still enough space. But I wouldn't force it, and I would move the snails I had caught into the plastic that I had prepared. Today wasn't about much. Today was about surviving in the mud that kept swallowing my cold feet. Then I continued walking, even though what I found was not an easy result. Those little snails, maybe they will grow up later. Maybe they will be the perfect food next time. But now, I have to keep walking. Because this rice field is vast, and in every corner, there is always. But there is something that is bothering me. Every step I take among the young rice, there is always a feeling of fear. Afraid that the tiny stalks will break because of my feet. Afraid that my feet will disturb the newly planted hopes. Afraid, the struggle of the farmers who sow the seeds with care must be damaged just because I am too busy hunting snails. I cannot continue here, not because I am tired, but because of a sense of reluctance towards the life that has just begun. The rice is not strong yet, not yet upright, and my steps are too heavy for the soil that is still wet with wounds. So I decided to move to the next plot, a rice field that has been harvested, which no longer holds green rows, but the soil still emits a There I am free. No one can hurt me. No one to fear except the snail itself. When I arrive at the plot, a stretch of empty land greets me like a vast, deserted field. The remains of dry rice stalks sticking out here and there. A sign that life has just ended here, one generation of rice for human life. And maybe it will start again, who knows when. Now I can walk through this rice field without worry, feet free to walk anywhere, even zigzag. Free to bend down, digging, feeling the mud to my heart's content. There is nothing I have to avoid, no one I have to protect, other than my own hands from the small bites that sometimes come silently. And the hunt begins again. Calm, silent, without disturbance, just me, mud, and the snails trying to hide, in the quiet rice field plot. It was not in vain that I moved to this rice field. The rice may no longer be green, but precisely behind this silence, another life is secretly abundant. The snails appeared one by one, as if waiting for me. There were small ones, but the big ones were much more than I expected. They were quite large, round, heavy, and fleshy. Their shells glistened with fresh water and mud, The type of snail that made my ducks dance happily while making noisy sounds. Every time I bend down, there is definitely one I can pick up. Sometimes one, sometimes two at once. I even pick up a whole bunch of snails at once. Some were still on the surface. Some were also buried halfway, as if resigned to their fate this morning. I keep moving, following the former rows of rice fields that are now quiet. Without fear, without hurry. Time seems to slow down in this place, giving me space to work, to hunt, to think, without any sound other than nature. And what I collect is not just snails, but certainty that today is not in vain, that the steps I guard for the sake of young rice are rewarded by blessings on land that is no longer green. The hunt is not over yet, but this heart has begun to calm down, because I know I chose the right path, and nature, in its own way, always knows how to repay patience.